Good afternoon, my fabulous guests. I'm Myra Wallace, and you're watching Stirring Up the Gifts. Today, we have a treat for you. We're going to give you a peek into the fashion industry. Today, I have as my guest Ms. Angela Dean of Dean Design, along with Brandon Nelson of Fresh Apparel. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. We'll see you right back on the Anointed Couch here at Stirring Up the Gifts. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and friend us on Facebook. Welcome back to Stirring Up the Gifts, and I have on the Anointed Couch the one and only fashionista herself, Miss Angela Dean of Dean Design. Thank you so much for coming on the show, girl.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you know, this is like a girlfriend moment for us because we go way, way back.
Don't talk about how far.
Okay, all right, we ain't gonna say.
Leave that alone.
We're gonna leave it alone. All we know is that we have a common interest, and that's fashion.
Yes, we do.
And you have dressed the A-list, the B-list, the C-list, the red carpet, entertainers, you've dressed it all.
Yes.
And in that, I want to hear, and I know the audience wants to know, about that journey and what were some of the challenges you faced as a designer in the fashion industry?
Wow, what a great question. I started out many years ago, of course. In high school, I started sewing. Well, actually, I started sewing at 7 years old. And then I would get more involved with it right around junior high school. And in high school, I made a garment every night almost. That was my homework, even though I did get straight A's. I wasn't a dummy in school academically, but it was a hobby for me. So, you know, when I would get bored, I would sew clothes, and I loved it. It was a passion. And then I decided to go to school, you know, for college at Fashion Institute. And my mom said, you need to go to City College and figure out what you want to do. And I told her, I've always wanted to be a designer, so why are you wanting me to go to City College? You know, so I said, please direct me to Hollywood so that I can really express myself. So I decided to start a business. I had actually a store on Melrose first in the 80s.
I remember that. I was at your
too
grand
long ago
opening.
to talk about it, but anyway. I'm surprised you weren't one of the models, but anyway, I started and decided to actually go into the music and entertainment business and specialize in creating images for musical artists and entertainment figures.
Now, was that after Melrose? Because I remember at Melrose, it was a grand opening, just
Yes, it
in
was.
fashionista Dean Design style.
Yeah.
Now, out of that, the opening of the store, did that kind of usher you into Hollywood?
Yes, it did, because I actually, after closing the store, I actually started working for a lingerie company a lingerie store that we had a lot of celebrity clientele that would come in. And so the more I would always work for companies and blow them up and make them millions of dollars, and all my friends would tell me, you know, you need to really do this for your own self. So I met quite a few celebrities there. And that was after the boutique closed. And then I decided to go back into business, but specializing in imaging for the music and entertainment business.
Now, you say that literally you knew early on that you needed to get into Hollywood. You needed to dress those that really could appreciate the type of designing that you were inspired to do. Tell us what your inspiration is when you sit down to actually design.
Oh gosh, I think I'm inspired by old Hollywood. You know, that's just one of my passions. I would watch old movies. My mom was very much of an inspiration to me. As you know, she passed a couple of years ago, but she was a very elegant woman, and she belonged to social and charity clubs. So they would do white balls, black and white balls, red balls, and she would always design beautiful, elegant gowns. And she was tall and very beautiful. And I would just sit there as a little girl amazed by the things that she would come up with. And so she influenced my style and the way I dress and what I design. And I love timeless classic looks. So I'm very inspired by things that come from the past, you know, the 50s and the 40s, and just giving it a modern twist. is very exciting for me.
Well, you know, I think that everyone that knows you recognizes you as that classic designer because if you mention Dean Zion or you mention Angela Dean, you almost instantly think of Hollywood.
Yes.
And having that reputation, you've done it all. It seems like you've done it all. I mean, as a designer's dream to design for some of the people that you've designed for. I'm not even going to start the list. It's probably easier to say who have you not designed
Yes,
for.
I understand.
But what's next? What's next for Angela Dean? What's next for Dean Zion? What's on the horizon?
Well, you know, one of the things by designing for musical figures and entertainment figures, it's been almost like a focus group for me because I've heard the things that people have complained about, you know, especially celebrities that come to me, can't find what I do in the stores. It's not on the racks. So I think that I decided to create a line of clothes that would now be coming into the stores. We're working on it right now. We're going to Magic in August. And I've designed a very innovative line that is basically made of jerseys. Yeah. And I'm doing something where you'll be able to take 3 or 4 pieces and in combining them create various up to 15 looks.
Wow.
So it's something that I feel is very important, especially with the economy now. You know, the luxury market has definitely been affected, so that's why I'm still relevant in terms of my custom-made things, because no one can find certain things that they need for, you know, the visual aspect of what they do. But I'm really horning in on real women with real bodies. Wow. And that doesn't mean a woman that is plus size or not meaning a petite or extremely small woman. Right. I just think that the market hasn't really accommodated women. Right. With real bodies and styles that work for the body type.
Right, right.
So my objective and goal is to be able to, for you to shop by body types. Yes. And be able to become more like someone that can be really informative to women because the images that are being portrayed in the market are just not realistic.
Well, you know, I think that you've been a stepping stone for many. I mean, when I think of all the people that you have actually dressed, you've made a statement. So the next phase could only be, you know, let's get back to the real things and deal with real people and real sizes. I mean, after you're dressing Oprah, which is, I mean, how much bigger can you get than Oprah? To dress her was really another opportunity for the world to know what we've always had right here in Long Beach.
Yes.
Now that's a true diva for you, Miss Angela Dean. I've actually had an opportunity to work with both of my guests as I featured them in my online magazine, beautycomeforth.com. But I want to keep things rolling because I know you're excited to hear from Mr. Brandon Nelson of Fresh Apparel. We'll be right back. Make sure to check us out on the web at www.stirringupthegifts.com. So welcome back to Stirring Up the Gifts, and we have Mr. Brandon Nelson on the anointed couch of Fresh Apparel. I'm fresh. Brandon, how did you come up with the idea of Fresh Apparel, the name itself?
Well, it actually came to me, we were preparing for a Bible study at Antioch Church of Long Beach. I was working with the Level Youth Ministries, and we were asking the kids to identify or express what their relationship to God was. And the youth leaders were asked to give an example. So I'm thinking, and it just kind of came to me. And I got all of the characteristics of the acronym, and then I was able to explain it to them, and that's kind of how it came. So fresh, you know, the F for faith, the R for risk taker, E for exemplification, S for selflessness, and H for honor. And I said, wow, that's tight, you know, fresh.
That's fresh.
And so, of course, the kids, at first, they thought it was something, you know, just externally, something that was more material-based. But I said, you know, no, it's really spirit-filled and it means something. So I knew I was going to do something with it, but I didn't quite know. And ultimately, God just kind of opened up the doors, and it became Fresh the Apparel.
And it is fresh. It is fresh.
Thank
so
you.
So then tell me about hearing your inspiration behind it and how it kind of grew from there. What actually sets you aside from the so many designers or so many people that step out into the fashion or apparel industry? What would you say really sets you apart?
I would say for me, in being in the fashion industry, I wasn't mainly doing it so that I can make a name for myself, but it's really a mission behind it, which is just to bring forth the kingdom of God and allow people to really know Christ. So the mission for Fresh is to really celebrate and encourage people to have an authentic relationship with God. So I think something that sets us apart is that we're really pushing a mission, which is to build the kingdom. And in return for that, people are able to actually be fresh and wear apparel, but at the same time, still be able to identify with God in a unique way, a way that's unique to them in a relationship format.
I think that's good. I believe with fashion and so many things that are out there right now in the fashion industry, to have clothing and what you wear be attached to something that you actually believe, it sets you apart. It really does set you apart, and I can appreciate that, the statement that you make with it. So with Fresh having more than a meaning, I know personally that it's attached to some other things, like, you know, where exactly you were sharing with me about the proceeds, and I think that's really speaks to part of your acronym about selflessness, right. The S in Fresh. Tell me a little bit about the nonprofit or where some of the monies go for Fresh.
Well, a proceed of all of the profits that we bring in, it goes towards the Freshland Scholarship Program, which is to benefit high school seniors that are going to be going to college. And so every show that we do, every shirt that we sell, we allow a proceed of that, a percentage of it, to go towards that specific scholarship fund.
Wow. What's your inspiration?
My inspiration is really to just, like I said before, to push forward the kingdom and allow people to be fresh, but at the same time have a unique relationship with God.
Okay. Well, with all that said, you know, I and the viewing audience want to see some fresh. We want to be fresh too.
Most definitely.
So
everybody can be fresh. It's for everyone.
It is. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Take a look at some fresh apparel with Brandon Nelson. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and friend us on Facebook. Welcome back to Stirring Up the Gifts, our Fashion Fresh segment, and we're here again with Mr. Brandon Nelson of Fresh Apparel, and we get an opportunity to see some of this fresh apparel. You ready to show us?
I'm very ready. Let's go.
Let's do it.
So our first look that we're going to be showcasing comes from our Graded F collection, which is for our youth, targeted towards ages 13 to 18, and this is a really fun look for them because they're able to wear this hoodie, whether they're going to school over their school uniform, and a casual, everyday, if they're going to a function, whatever it is, they'll have their Jesus piece with them. So they'll be able to look fly and fresh and be able to just, rock it well.
Take Jesus with you.
That's right.
All right.
The next piece that we're going to be showing comes from our young adult line, which is called the Translation Collection, and we call it that because the translation, it really encourages people to really dig into their words so that they understand the significance of the scriptures that we use on the screens for the t-shirts. This one in particular is the formerly known as Sinner, and it just really celebrates the life that you once lived before you fully gave yourself to Christ. So, you can rock it well, but you're still making a statement that'll speak and hopefully lead other people to Christ.
Hey, I love it. Formerly known.
Formerly known, exactly.
As Sinner.
She goes by
all
the
can wear
name.
that.
That's right.
Okay.
And last collection that I'm going to be showing today comes from the Journey collection. And Fresh, this year we really started to go beyond the t-shirts and just, the regular apparel, and we started to go into full-line clothing. So this is one of the pieces that we constructed, and it just goes to show that Fresh can go from, wearing a regular t-shirt to a really high-scale, upscale event, and you'll still be able to be dressed for any occasion.
Wow, I love it. I'm feeling kind of fresh.
That's right.
So why don't you tell our audience how we can find some fresh apparel?
Well, they can access it on our website at www.iamfreshonline.com, or they can follow myself at Twitter, which is Sir Be Fresh, and they'll be able to follow me to see when we're going to have a next event, whether we have a vendor booth. We always have our products available for sale there as well.
Okay, well, I can't wait to get my fresh gear.
Good.
Until then, we'll see you in just a moment. If you or someone you know has an extraordinary story that needs to be told, please email us at info@stirringupthegifts.com. Well, that concludes our show for today with our fabulous fashionistas and I Am Fresh Apparel. I want to thank my guests, Angela Dean of Dean Zine and Mr. Brandon Nelson of Fresh Apparel. We'll see you next week right here on the Anointed Couch at Stirring Up the Gifts.